This is a follow-up to my previous video documenting how War Thunder's modification research point awards are broken. After having made that video, I got a lot of feedback from you guys, so I wanted to address some of the things that you guys have brought up, as well as propose a theory for why this may be happening, and lay out a potential plan for action. Most of the comments I got were regarding how a lot of y'all have been personally scammed by this bug, and well, I guess we're all in the same boat then. Based on your descriptions, this issue has existed since the start of the game and is present in all game modes, but happens less frequently in Air Arcade thanks to the many times they let you respawn in that game mode. The effect of this is also especially egregious in game modes with long match times like Air Sim and Helicopter EC, where games can take multiple hours and the amount of RP that you can get can often overflow beyond the cost of a single modification. These conditions also seem to apply not just to modifications, but also vehicle research, though I haven't unlocked new vehicles that frequently enough for me to notice myself. There are people suggesting a workaround where if you know a match you left early will finish the modification you've been working on, that you can select the next modification you wish to research before joining the next game. This will let the first game finish off the first modification that you're researching and begin putting points into the next one. I haven't tested this myself, so I can't 100% verify, but enough people have brought it up that it's worth trying. I've heard some people say that I just need to finish more games and it'll catch up. I'm not sure if they watched my video, but I played 2 more games after the first 4 and it still wasn't caught up, so I went and played a few more games in a different nation to see if it would eventually be refunded, but nope, same as ever. I've also heard that it catches up whenever a new update drops, and, well, by that time I've already spaded the thing, and there's nowhere for the points to go, so it might as well be dumped in the ocean. Others have said that maybe the loss was instead added to convertible RP, but when I checked the battle logs later, there were no discrepancies in terms of convertible RP generated, and this is also ignoring the fact that convertible RP is practically useless. And then there are those saying that this is an intentional mechanic and that it's not that bad. Apart from this statement being a massive FU to sim players, the moderators on the bug reports page have described this as a known issue, so they are acknowledging that it is a problem. Additionally, there's one thing that I noticed while I was going through my previous data that I wanted to share that opposes the idea that this is an intentional game mechanic that's been hard-coded into the game on purpose. So, this was what the table for RP gain looked like after I left Game 4 early and the Game 3 had ended. Notice anything interesting? Well, for one, I made a single typo here while I was moving the numbers over from my spreadsheet, so let me correct that. But all the other numbers are correct. One thing that I now noticed was that the total amount owed is exactly the amount of vehicle research points I got from Game 2. This may be the key to what's happening here. My suspicion is that this is actually a bug in the way that they calculate the amount owed. So we know that by Game 2, I am owed 851 research points because I researched the previous mod with 1,062 points, but I only needed 211 to finish the modification. So when Game 3 finishes and Gaijin needs to figure out how much research to give, what is supposed to happen is supposed to take the amount of RP I got from Game 3, 2,462, and add that to the amount I'm owed from Game 2, which is 1,062, the amount I got from Game 2, minus 211, the amount I already got to finish the first modification. However, I'm suspecting that this 1062 got lost somewhere or isn't implemented, and so it instead becomes 2462 minus just 211, giving me 2251 modification RP and a net RP loss of exactly the total amount of RP I earned from Game 2. As for Game 4 being nuked, I guess that just happened because I played 3 games in a row without letting the game catch up. I can't really compare numbers when the number is just 0. So where does this leave us now? I'm pretty confident based off of this that this is a bug in the way that it's coded, but we can't overlook the fact that they've neglected to fix this for this whole time. They've been aware of it for at the minimum 3 years and have either been ignoring or flagging it as duplicate for new bug reports regarding this problem. And I feel like fixing it would be pretty straightforward. Either add the missing number back in, or allow us to just immediately put the missing RP into the next modification of our choice instead of holding it off until the next battle we finish. And again, to those who are saying that this current implementation is intentional and that we should work around it ourselves, I think that's a pretty weak argument. Even if it is intentional, I think it still merits criticism. Gaijin used to have reward caps where if you had high kill games, each additional kill would net you less reward than the previous one, and this was well known, well documented, considered intentional, and it was still pretty dumb, and I think it was right to be criticized. And thankfully now we have RP bonuses for high kill streak games, and even though I think that it should also apply to Silver Lions, I think it's a step in the right direction overall. And calling this bug pretty annoying is an understatement. Not everyone has the time to sit and wait for the match to finish. A game that incentivizes you to do nothing doesn't benefit anyone, and even Gaijin only tangentially benefits in the sense that people who aren't aware of the bug get less modification research, and only a subset of them will get frustrated enough to spend GE to speed up the modification research because of that. But I don't think this by itself merits another attempt at a review bomb or a boycott, at least not yet. There are a lot of things that still need addressing, like their questionable balancing choices, ease of spawning close air support in ground battles, their terrible attempt at RP reward for having top tier in another nation. But I think overall Gaijin have made quite a few positive changes as of recently. Most of them, of course, results of the roadmap that came from the review bombing, but they were still good changes. Things like stock AP FSDS, stock Fox 3, stock flares, removing the reward cap for high kill games, decompressing top tier, introducing massive RP savings with the new foldering, and halving the RP costs for those in the folders. These changes have made the game so much more playable and show that they are capable of listening to the community when our voice is unified and they have a clear line of communication. So how do we get our voices heard since the bug report system isn't really working right now? I think for now the best thing we can do is to bring this issue forward to people who have a more direct connection to the developers. If I'm not mistaken, bigger War Thunder YouTubers have a content creator limited Discord, where they may not have direct access to the developers, but are still 1 degree closer than us and have a better shot at pitching this to the ones at the top. I trust most of the big boy YouTubers that have played this game for long enough of a time, who have basically made this game into their career and so have a genuine vested interest in the health and well-being of War Thunder. And so I think that if we want to get real change made, this is the best route forward. Obviously respect them and their time, so don't spam at them. If they have kindly declined, then there's not much we can do. People are people after all, so be persuasive, not obnoxious and annoying. If they agree to pitch this and then they come back telling us they've tried but can't do anything, I think that's the point in which we should pursue alternative forms of communication. All in all, I'm glad that I've been able to strike a chord bringing up a problem that all of us have encountered. I've had commenters telling me that with how terrible at listening Gaijin can be, that it's probably just best to quit War Thunder. But despite all the problems it has, I still play this game because I do genuinely like playing the game, just for the gameplay. I think there's a lot of potential this game has to be amazing if they fix all the problems in Spaghetti and focus more on creating interesting game modes and combat scenarios, like the Destroyers vs Submarines mission, or the Bomber Escort and Bomber vs Interceptor missions, or the dynamic ground invasion type scenarios that they've shown they're capable of making. They can still have expensive premiums and a somewhat outdated and clunky physics engine, but here I think that Gaijin can have their cake, eat it, and have more left over. So I don't really want to come out of this with negativity. I know that the War Thunder community can be pretty toxic, self-destructive, elitist, and sometimes incredibly dumb. But I've also met some of the smartest, most well-spoken, and nicest people playing this game. And I still have a lot of respect for the attention to detail that the War Thunder devs have when modeling their vehicles, even if this attention to detail is not generally applied in everything they do. So I think that with some pressure on our end, we can help shape the game into something that both the community and the developers can be happy with. I've also played this game for too long, and the sunk cost fallacy ship is at the bottom of the ocean already, so I don't think there's any saving me. Anyways, that was a long rant. If you've managed to tolerate my spiel for this long, then your reward is this drawing I did of the salamander. You can leave now. Bye.